Hello, everyone.
Hey!
Welcome back to Hardcover Hooligans. It's been a little bit. We are happy to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. We missed all of you. We missed talking about books.
And we promised that it had to stop for logistical reasons.
Mm-hmm. Mac was getting the shit beat out of him every day.
Yeah. For those, if you don't know, everybody listening to this podcast is like a friend or a family member, so they all know. But if you don't know, if you're one of the few who don't know who we are, I'm a professional wrestler, and so I was at a professional wrestling training intensive for 3 months in Atlanta, Georgia, and so that before I left, I was like, oh, recording the podcast will be easy, and then I had no time to myself, and the time that I did have to myself was spent doing like recovery, so I did not want to do a podcast.
And I was playing Stardew Valley 8 hours every day. So
yeah, man, that's pretty sweet. Did you? Now I've never played Stardew Valley, but I know there's some sort of mine. Did you get to the bottom of that mine?
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Is there like a
the mine? I had gotten to the bottom of the mine of this.
Oh, that's like
the normal mine. That's
like,
easy stuff. I did get to the bottom of Skull Cavern without using staircases. This means precisely nothing to almost anyone. But
that sounds like it was hard.
Yep. Lots of bombs.
Wait, how does that work? You put a bomb on the ground and you fall through the ground?
Okay. So Skull Cavern it's 100 floors deep. You have to get to the bottom in one day, at the end of one day.
Oh, doesn't the days like 10 minutes long? Like, it's like super short.
Yeah, you get tired. You have to do it like with the same amount of energy. All the floors are procedurally generated, and you can only find like staircases down through like breaking rocks and like killing monsters, and it's sort of random whether they appear on a given floor. So using bombs, you cover more area, and you have a better chance of uncovering these staircases so you can go down. And then there's like holes that you can fall through and fall multiple levels, so you sort of get lucky.
Which is how you did it without using staircases.
Yes, I used lots of bombs and like falling through the holes, and I did it on a good luck day, which you find out by watching the TV, whether your day is going to have good luck or not.
I think that's a good lesson to learn, is that I think every single day I've ever spent watching TV has been a good luck day for me. And I've used a bomb in a cave and fallen through a hole. Did you get like a cool sword or something at the bottom?
There was a guy waiting for me, and he gave me, it was like his challenge. It was Mr. Chi, I think. Yeah, Mr. Chi.
Mr. Chi.
Yeah.
Well, shouts out, hey, Hardcover Hooligan shouts out Mr. Chi, and shouts out Scary.
Yeah,
Scary
we're rambly now. We're gonna
we're rambly. We have a rambly bad podcast.
So. We're not gonna talk about the book even.
We didn't read the book. We haven't read any of the books.
We actually flipped. We hate this.
Yeah, we hate books. That's what happened to me. I got hit in the head in Georgia, and now I hate books.
I'm gonna do my zinger now, Mac. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So if you had a magic rock that could transport you anywhere, where would you have it go?
Yeah.
Where would you have it take you?
God, what's like a place that's always like a pain in the ass? That like
you got to the DMV.
Yeah, or like
you use your one
our
magic
grocery
stone.
store. The grocery store we go to is just far enough away where it's like, you know. Mm-hmm. So I would have it be the Aldi, and
you could choose like Paris or London or New York.
No, because I would want the adventure.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is like a repeated use thing, as it is in the book.
You want to take Delta. You don't want to use a magic rock.
Yes, I want to take Delta. I need to take Delta.
All right.
Where would you go?
I have not given this any thought.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably like if I had like land in like northern Minnesota where we'd like camp.
Oh, to
like,
just go back and forth. That's a good idea.
Go back and forth so I won't have to drive.
That's a good idea.
Well, folks, we are talking about Assassin's Quest. We left you on a big cliffhanger about 3 or 4 months ago, but now we're back to talk about the rest of the book.
And then an episode where if I was a fan of a podcast and they put out an episode and I read that title, I'd be like, well, it's over. But it's not.
That was my little clickbait thing. But it's not. We're over. We're back. And we're talking about Fitz Chivalry Farseer and his adventures with the Fool.
In full disclosure, I finished reading this book, I don't know, 2.5 months ago. So.
I have two. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of talk about the rest of the book, and then we're going to chop it in the middle and release it as 2 episodes. So it will be parts 2 and 3, but this is more of
as we said.
Part 2, which is the rest of it. Now, Mac, do you want to talk about a spoiler-free review thoughts on this book and maybe the trilogy as a whole?
Yeah, I listened to the ending of our previous episode because I couldn't remember where
more
we
homework
left
than I
off.
did.
The last thing we talked about was where we ended off last time was the assassination at Trade Home, or the failed assassination at Trade Home.
Trade Ford,
by Fitz.
I think it's called.
Or Trade Ford. What's Trade Home? Oh, I think that's a furniture store in the mall.
Is that from like Elder Scrolls or something?
It's from my real life. I think my brother worked at Trade Home. And you had said that the ending of this book, you said it was very divisive. I think the people who don't like it fucking hate it.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And I think that is an overreaction, but I get it, especially if you're thinking of it as book 3 of 3 and not book 3 of 16, which at the end of the day is really what is going on.
Or like book 3 of
at least 6,
or like a fantasy trilogy, and you're used to reading standard fantasy trilogies. I can see how it can be disappointing.
Yeah, because there's no... Yeah, and I will say it does feel like Assassin's Quest a little bit feels... it feels very different than the other two, because it feels more like a stereotypical fantasy novel.
Oh,
I mean, the characters literally go on like a big grand adventure full of way more like magic and danger than there had been
the other two books
previously.
Combined.
Yeah, and also... there are like lots of new characters being introduced that are, and like new information about the world and new parts of the world are being introduced at a very rapid pace. I mean, this book is like 800 pages long. Mm-hmm. It is not short. But I'll say I thought the ending was great. I never once, I don't go into like, I've never understood this. I'm not reading a book for like as we talked about it with Mistborn, I'm not looking with like, this ending better blow me out of the water. It's like, well, there was a whole other book.
I think the Sanderlanche has ruined everyone.
I think so. And this book does not have a Sanderlanche.
No.
It's sort of, I will say, it is maybe a little bit, I don't want to get into spoilers yet. The book is about trying to find somebody. Let's just imagine a world in which they find that person. In this world, couldn't believe I was just like, oh. I was like, oh, okay, all right, sure. Yeah, he's where they thought he was.
Well,
makes sense.
I would say, I also really enjoyed it. I thought it was an incredible ending.
I cried.
Yeah, I did too. Probably at several occasions. But like, it was, I think an incredible ending. Like, very, what I've thought of as like bold, like this is like the first trilogy, sure. And we've even been talking about it as sort of anti-fantasy from even the first book. Yeah. And this ending definitely feels like there's no big showdown that happens on the page, and when people say it's unsatisfying in like a standard like Avengers Endgame sort of way that they might expect, then I see how they're saying that. But also, like you're saying, like I don't go into books like expecting something to happen and then being disappointed when it doesn't. Like that's not my like enjoyment of the books. I think some people do read books like that. Like when I say I finished a book, my partner Shelby will ask like, did it end how you wanted it to? And I'm like, I don't read books like I want things to happen. I like read it
I'm
for
just
an
here for the ride.
Experience. Yeah. And so I think there's people who, when they read Red Ship Raiders are the big bad, like they have like in their head, they're like, hero goes on a journey, there's a big bad, and at the end of the last book, the hero will defeat the big bad and everything will be good, you know?
Yeah.
Which is not what the story is.
I never once thought this book was going to end with like Fitz is going to destroy, like, I don't know.
I thought it was going to end a lot worse than it ended up ending. I thought it was going to be a pretty dour ending, but it ended up ending bittersweet, I believe.
Yeah, and, you know, the book doesn't try to obfuscate the fact that Fitz survives whatever the story is.
'Cause he's writing it in the past tense.
Right, so I'm excited to see what happens. They return in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is just after the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which is the next. So I'm excited. I don't know what what Hardcover Hooligans is going to do covering these books. But I'm going to keep reading them, and I'm very excited.
Me too. I'm very excited. So brief summary, so you don't have to go listen to the past 3 months worth of episodes. Fitz is a little bastard kid who we learn has magic powers, and he grows up in this oppressive castle atmosphere. In the previous, there's his uncle, Prince Regal, is a total narcissistic asshole who only wants power and hates Fitz and everything he stands for. In the last book, King Shrewd dies, and so through clever maneuvering, Prince Verity, the real heir to the throne, is sent off on a quest to try to stop the Red Ship Raiders because the country can't fight against them. But while he's gone, there's no word of him. Prince Regal sort of claims that Prince Verity is dead and he is now king. And so he becomes king. He moves the capital from Buckkeep to Tradeford. And that is the first chunk of the book is Fitz, who died at the end of the last book. His soul was transported into Night Eyes, his wolf companion. He recovers. He tries to go kill Regal. It goes horribly. And Prince Verity saves him via Skype and imprints the command "come to me" on him. And so now Fitz can't resist going to find Verity as much as he wants to be with Molly and their daughter, whose name is Nettle, which I could think of a couple better baby names, but, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I don't live in the realm of the Elderlings, so I'm not keyed into the baby name conversation.
I think that's about it. If you want more details, listen to previous episodes, but that's where we're at. Fitz is
I think that's good.
with Night Eyes. They're traveling to the Mountain Kingdom to try to find Prince Verity, and he doesn't really know what Verity's up to, but he knows he's got to find him. Do you have anything to add, Mac, to that?
No, I think that's
summary?
Perfect.
Fantastic. So I think the next thing that happens is that Fitz meets Starling, who's like a minstrel woman.
It is the next thing that happens.
Do you want to talk about her for a bit? She's
like the most suspicious woman on the planet. But she's a bard, and in the realm of the Six Duchies,
right?
And in the Six Duchies, the bards are sort of like, and this is like based in like real life too, are treated with like utmost respect, right? So like bards are gonna write raunchy songs and make fun of people, but it's like the king can't like kill the bard for being annoying, because that's sort of the whole point of having the bard around, is to like be like fun and annoying. And so she's a bard, and she's very, very good, and she plays the lute or whatever, classic bard. And she runs into Fitz and is like, "Hey, aren't you the
guy everyone's looking for?"
And she's like, "I'm gonna follow you around so I can like write a sweet song."
Mm-hmm.
And Fitz is like, "Okay, whatever."
So she can like make her name and like fly her trade. Yeah.
And so Fitz, he gets found out at like a camp and kills a bunch of guards, and it only cements the fact that Starling's like, "Yeah, you're the guy. You're definitely the Wolfman everybody's looking for." And so they have a sort of weird friendship / maybe burgeoning romance.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
But because they're trying to get to they're like still in like Prince Regal's domain, and they're trying to get to the Mountain Kingdom, but there's like a trade embargo, or like, and also it's winter, and like there's in the background there's all these political tensions because King Regal now is like, "Oh, you're harboring like Kettrikin and the Fool, who like tried to kidnap my father," and et cetera, et cetera. So there's all this like tensions between the countries. So like there's no way to get from one to the other. So Fitz and Starling like meet some like smugglers to like help them get across, and like Fitz is like, "I'm a shepherd boy, don't ask any questions." I think he gives him like Burrick's earring that they gave him to like get to the Mountain Kingdom. That's very sad.
But this is before, in the little port town, Fitz is like, "King Regal's here. I'm gonna kill him again." And then he climbs the roof, and he talks to a squirrel that's like, "I wouldn't do that if I were you, pal."
He's like, "Whoa, a talking squirrel!" The squirrel's like, "There's never been a more obvious trap ever." Yeah. And it was
the squirrel's like, "The old blood's looking out for you, bro." And Fitz is like, "Whoa, that's crazy."
"You're all the way over here," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking squirrel."
Yeah, I move around, man.
but the smugglers end up betraying them
Classic.
because they know who Fitz is. Because there's a very he's the Wolf Man.
Yeah, he's the most obvious.
He's
guy
the Wolf
ever.
Man who matched the description that of the Wolf Man everyone's looking for. But Fitz survives, and he's sort of like stumbling through the winter, and he's like hurt and wet, and then he gets separated from Night Eyes because like Night Eyes like falls in the river, and it's very dramatic. And he comes across like a cabin and like starts going to it, and someone like comes out and saves him and nurses him back to health. And guess who it is? It's the Fool. It's our boy, the Fool. Fitz made it to the
and
Northern
also
Kingdom.
they break Starling's fingers. It's
Right.
fucked up
As like
when they get captured.
yeah.
And Fitz, let's just be clear, he gets shot in the spine with an arrow.
Right,
Like,
that's right.
He's dead. He's fucking dying. And then the what are they? He's like this the medicine man of this like
They call him the White Prophet.
yeah, the White Prophet.
And he's like, I don't know why
And
everyone's
Fitz
calling me
is
the
like,
White
oh, that's-
Prophet, but he's also like the most magical person ever, and he's like
Yeah, and he
carving wood
looks-
puppets
He's
for
a
the
translucent
kids.
skin,
Yeah,
white translucent skin.
he's like bright. He's like white eyes or whatever. But Fitz like spends a bunch of time recovering, and in the meantime, Starling tells Ketrican and the Fool and everyone who's also in the Northern Kingdom, hey, Fitz is here. Here's everything about him, which is not good because they learn that Ketrican's child she was pregnant with before ended up being stillborn. But now that they know that Fitz has a kid, they're all like, all right, everyone. Fitz, for the good of the kingdom, we're going to take your and Molly's baby. We're going to raise it as the heir because that's Farseer blood. And Fitz is like, no. And everyone's mad at him. And they're like, you don't have a choice. Jade is there.
Yeah, Jade is there.
Everyone's there, but everyone's like mad at him. And it's kind of heartbreaking to read. Then you realize he's like, all these people are in the room, but no one's happy to see him. And like Shade is maybe the only one who's happy to see him.
And Ketrican is like, she's not doing very well.
Yeah, because Verity's gone. She lost her child. She's like alienated from the kingdom she rightfully supposed to rule, which is the Six Duchies, and like her father's not happy with her because she came back and is causing all these tensions with the Six Duchies. Yeah, it's a stressful situation. Well, and isn't there like a moment where like Fitz like lies, like, no, it's not my kid. I had to say it was my, and that only works for like 2 seconds before. They're like, you're just lying, dude. No,
Yeah, you're lying.
And then everyone gets more mad at him for trying to lie. But then they decide to leave on a quest. They say, well, Fitz, everyone thinks Verity is dead, but Fitz is like, no, Verity's alive. I have to find him. As far as I know, he's still alive. The king can't let them leave because he doesn't want Regal to be mad at them. But the king's like, hey, we're going to have a party in the main area and we'll leave the horses all outside.
Classic King Hiatus.
Classic. And then our whole group, including an old woman named Kettle as well, who was following them since the smugglers, leaves. I think, and the group is Ketrican, Fitz, the Fool. Shade does not go with them.
No.
And then Kettle. It's just the four.
And
it's just the four of them, right? And Starling, right? And Starling. And they have that old map, the map that everyone's been talking about for this whole series of like the Elderlings are here, and it's like a weird like antler dude, and it's really faded, and there's like one path through the mountains. So they're like, we're gonna follow this and see if maybe this goes to where Verity is. You want to talk about the next part?
Yeah, so they start going north of the Mountain Kingdom, and they stumble upon this road that is like runs in a perfectly straight line.
Creepy.
And is there's nothing on it. Like it like looks like trees may have fallen on it because there's like stumps near the road, but there's nothing on the road.
Yeah, it's like perfectly clean, even though like it's in the middle of the forest.
And when Starling, Kettle, the Fool, or no, not Kettle. When Starling and the Fool and Prince Ketrican are on it, everything's fine. But when Fitz and this old woman, strangely enough, get on it, like they feel Kettle less so, but Fitz is like super out of it, and he can't.
He's like
think
zoning
straight.
out. He's like thinking.
Yeah, he's just
wandering
like
off.
walking in directions. Yeah, and so Kettle says that she's like, I think this road has been skill wrought, so like made with this magic power, and is designed for like skill users to traverse it very quickly. But also, obviously, if you're not trained in it, it'll like kill you as it's doing to.
Because like it's made out of, it feels like the stone. Well, we find out later that this black stone has magic properties, and it like holds like the memories and feelings of the lives that were like lived near it. So like Fitz keeps like seeing people traveling on it, or like ghosts of
he's like peering
memories.
through time.
Yeah, and he's like totally losing his sense of himself. And I thought this was very creepy. And no one is like, Fitz, get off the road. It's like after he almost dies twice. Kettle's like, maybe Fitz should walk over there.
And so he's just like walking next to the road, which I think is a very smart, like, well, yeah, duh. They still have the road as the path, that he can just follow the path. I like that.
Very, very, very magical quest feeling all of a sudden. It felt very like normal quest. And then the end of this book, it's like the last third where like, oh, this is all just magic fantasy stuff.
Yeah, now we've truly entered into like a different realm, is what it feels like.
Purely distilled.
Yeah, it's cool. And they're being pursued.
Yes, they know that like Regal and his people are after him. At some point, Fitz wanders off again, or they're trying to find like a way down, and he like touches a pillar and is immediately transported. Although like you don't know it's transportation at the time. It seems like he's like unconscious and like dreaming all of this. He's like in the middle of an abandoned city. And he sort of realizes where he is, and he's like miles and miles away from where he was before, like by where the mountains are. And it's like this ruined, abandoned city. There's a bunch of this black obsidian stone all around.
That's so cool.
It's really cool. And like even like reading it, you're like, where is he? What the hell? How did no one?
And whenever he
know
touches
about
the
this?
stone, he sees the city as it was hundreds of years ago.
That was
like
really
normal.
cool. Yeah. And then he takes it off, and it's like everything's just like quiet and normal. And through one of these visions, we get our first sighting of an Elderling.
Yeah, and they are dragons.
They are dragons, which, I'll be honest, I was slightly disappointed that they're just dragons.
Yeah, but classic, I mean.
Yeah, and they're not quite exactly just dragons. Like, there's variations. Yeah. Isn't it described they're more like birds almost? They seem like more like bird-like dinosaurs, but there's also variations where they're like, some of them have like weird antlers, or like
and like some
like
looks
griffins
like a boar.
Almost. Yeah, just like a hodgepodge of different animals. But he explores this city. He doesn't know how he's going to get back, because he doesn't know how any of this works. But he eventually finds that Verity was here through like a campfire sign or something. And using like the mountains and the map, and he sort of figures out where Verity was going, because they like run into like a fork in the road, and like one road's like ruined and like goes off into like a valley, and they can't follow it.
Yeah.
And then another one like goes off in the opposite direction or something like that. Like there's like a crossroads, they don't know where to go. And he goes back to the Black Stone and touches it, and he's immediately transported back to where he was.
Yep.
And they were all very worried about him. Was he gone longer than he like felt he was gone? Was it like a day or a couple days? I don't remember.
I think he was gone for like a day.
Yeah.
Because he sleeps in the weird tavern.
Well, couldn't he not commune with Night Eyes? Like he couldn't. They were like too far away. But they go back. They're reunited, and he's like, "You're never gonna believe this. I know where to go. Don't touch that rock."
And he touched a certain face of the rock.
Right.
There's like 3 faces. But
now they know where they're going. They keep walking, and they run into this. It's like this glade of like trees. They could basically come out of the mountains, and now it's like normal lush forest or whatever. And they turn their heads, and they look under a tree, and they see a dragon just sleeping there.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And they are shocked. And do you want to talk about this part?
Yeah, they stumble across this stone dragon. Now Fitz, he's got the wit, which is like the magic of life, and so he can sense there's like life coming from these stone animals.
The rest of the party's like, no, they're dead. They're just
they're stone. Yeah. But when he touches it, he feels like something is like slumbering within them and can awaken, but they can't figure out how to awaken them, or even if at the time I don't think they want to. So it's like, well,
Fitz like tries to reach out with them with the skill, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, nothing happens, and so they're just like, well, maybe we'll just keep moving. But let's remember that this glade full of dangerous creatures is here. This might come in handy later.
There's some bits in this last part where even I was like, are they all being like willfully obtuse a little bit, like fantasy obtuse? Because they're like, wow, these carvers were really good at like making stone. I'm like, oh,
they're
guys,
alive.
Come on.
Yeah, they're clearly
so the boy with the powers says they might be alive, and you're like, come on, dude. Yeah. You went through a rock. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, there's also another pillar here.
Yep.
There's another pillar here. So presumably, if you touched the corresponding rune, you would travel not to the city, but to here.
Yeah, somewhere else.
Now, where did they get all this stone from to make these stone creatures?
Well, and there's like I said before, they're not all like, some of them are normal dragons, some of them's like a boar. There's one that like there's art of it. Maybe I'll include it in the link. I don't know if I like how it looks, but it makes sense. Where like it's like a guy with antlers and like a human face, and it looks sort of like a big deer. Have you seen this?
No. That sounds fucked up.
I think it's that first one that...
The one that guy ends up dying on? Or is it the boar?
No, it's the one... Copy an image. Can I paste it into Discord?
Oh, boy. Why is Fitz dressed like Santa? I love that. That is like that's an elderling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't want to just...
I didn't even know
elderlings.
I couldn't give my brain permission to think of something like that.
Yeah, you need to give your brain permission to think of a fuck.
But that looks so cool, man. I mean, it's fucked up and weird, but...
Because you think like fantasy, like Game of Thrones dragon, but they're not exactly. They're shinier and more bird-like. Just imagine that.
And they, because you can sort of create them to look like whatever you want.
Which we find out.
Yeah. So of course some of them look weird, and like one of the ones in the glade, I think at this moment in the glade, Fitz is like, wait a minute, that's the fucking king. Isn't he like, that's the guy who that's King whatever, who went to find the Elderlings in the first place? Like,
yeah, I think it's King King Wisdom or whatever.
Yeah, King Wisdom.
Look, I found another one that's really cool.
Oh, that's the board.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is so cool.
There seems to be a lack of like good fan art. I like literally just Googled Elderlings, and it's just like pictures of the book covers.
Shouts out Elise V, man. That's
too
really
bad.
Cool. Oh, look at Fitz's even has the white streak in his hair from where he was hit.
Oh, in
that picture.
The second one I sent?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't say, I'm not zoomed in enough. Oh, I sort of see it.
Wow, that's like the most beautiful picture ever.
That's the best art I can find. Except awesome. I think for like the Wikipedia book cover, which we'll include as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like that's also that grove with the sleeping dragons.
But yeah, anyway, they find a bunch of sleeping dragons, and then they say, well, we don't have enough information about our quest to complete the objective here, so let's move on. And so they do.
And then I think next is when they like come across like a ruined like village or farmstead or something, and Fitz like touches the stone and then has a vision of someone who looks like the fool that like the people around him in this vision are calling the White Prophet, and then like an elderling flies overhead, and then he like magically connects with this vision of the White Prophet, and then he removes his hand, and then like the fool is like unconscious or something.
And in the vision, the fool is a girl.
Yeah,
and we haven't talked about this.
Oh yeah, there's this whole thing. I forgot about that. Starling is like,
Starling is stops talking to Fitz when he gets back with the Fool, and Fitz is like, what the hell? And Starling is like, the Fool is a woman. Like, I thought you two loved each other. Like, so I've bowed out.
Mm-hmm.
And Fitz is like, what? That's a guy. And Starling's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And the Fool
Starling has a little crush on Fitz.
Yeah. And the Fool is being obtuse about it, obviously. But he sort of admits, he's like, no, yeah, I'm a guy. I'm just messing with you. But he even says that, like, with a wink. And then in this vision, the Fool is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, definitely a girl.
Gender
like,
fluid icon, the Fool, 100%.
He really is.
In the 90s, which, like, is pretty good.
Is awesome,
It's pretty good.
And he, I guess, like, I don't really know if it's, like, that's going to come up again.
Yeah.
I would be interested. I'm very interested to see if it is.
And I wonder if it's like, can the Fool like present a certain way to different people, like whether he chooses or not? And does he know he's doing that or not? Or is
because
he
also
like,
had like that crib in his room,
right? With like the
he was like
with
taking
like
care of a baby,
the fake baby. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
Or is he like just like super androgynous looking, and people sort of like put onto him? I think even the Fool has been very mysterious this whole time, but I don't think even the Fool knows what the Fool is.
I'm not sure, because the Fool also sort of lets it slip a little bit that he's like, listen, yeah, I like to be. He's like, I can tell the future, but it's like, I can tell what the future is in that exact moment. Like, as soon as you do something different, it's like, well, okay, now I'm just as lost as anybody else. And so he knows, like, Fitz died. Like, he thought Fitz fucking died. And so he was like, well, like, obviously I can't tell the future. I'm a huge failure. But now that the Catalyst and the Prophet are back together again, and this is a huge thing with Kettle, too. She's like, I mean, you two are from, like, the Book of Prophecy. Like, you're going to change the world. And I will
like
say,
me, and the Fool is like, well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And I love what, like, how they do that, because it's not like a big showdown with the bad guy. It's like, you as the Catalyst have the power to influence others through the power of friendship. You have the power to be friends with the people who can actually make shit happen, and those are the people who will. You're just there to like,
your destiny. Like you won't. Like, you'll never be in charge of.
You're not going
to do it, but you have to be there to make it all happen.
Yeah, which is cool. I like that. That is in and of itself very anti-fantasy,
and a very interesting, like, angle for a character. Like, I don't know, and it's also subtle enough where, like, I feel like if you're reading it, that seems like a point or an idea that Robin Hobb is trying to like make in this series, that like, the people in history who are behind the scenes, who have sacrificed almost their entire lives but get none of the credit. Because usually in fantasy, people sacrifice their entire lives and get none of the credit, but then at the end, they're like, they get it all back. Like, it's an investment, and then the universe tips in their favor and they get glory and everyone is happy and everything. But not so for Fitz.
Not for Fitz.
Which is, history is filled with a bunch of those people and we never know who they are.
Yeah.
And I think, at least according to the wiki, which we were talking before we started, the Realm of the Elderlings summary wiki for this book is not very good. It skips over a lot of stuff. I guess you get the bones of it.
We read the book a while ago. We need a little bit of help with some of for shit.
But then I referenced the book and I'm like, oh yeah, this sort of big plot character point happened. That's not in the summary. But the summary says that through this like vision thing with the Fool and the Old White Prophet, that Fitz and the Fool become like skill bonded to each other now. Yeah. And so I think Kettle says this is like, oh, Regal's coterie, who's like after them now, like they know they're after him, can like try to kill you through the Fool now. So the Fool is like your weak point, which I think almost happens. Like Carrad tries to get to Fitz through the Fool, but then like Verity intervenes and like swats him back from a distance. And we learn something very interesting about Elfbark, the the tea that Fitz has been using his whole life to like help recover after being tired using the skill. Do you want to reveal what that thing is, or at least that Kettle
Yeah,
tells him.
so
Kettle's
every
like, I don't
time,
know anything about anything, but I
yeah,
do know this.
every time, like, Verity and Fitz and, well, King Shrewd, obviously, was, like, feeling under the weather with the skill, they'd get elf bark and they'd feel a lot better. And that's because...
Like energy, because it's like magic cocaine.
Right. That's because the magic cocaine is sapping the power from them. And so, like, since Fitz has been doing it for so long, Kettle is like, it's my hypothesis that you're probably never going to be able to do this to any sort of, like, you're never going to be good at this. Like, you could have been the greatest of all time, but since you were doing magic cocaine for 17 years of your life, you probably are not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And Fitz is like, why, God, why? Nobody has ever been like, you're actually the super magical boy. Oh, actually, you're not. Oh, wait, but you are the magical boy. Oh, wait, but you're not. More than Fitz Chivalry Farseer.
Yeah. And I think, doesn't he reflect that, like, no one knew that? And he's like, when did that knowledge start? And, like,
yeah.
Because I think it's, was it Galen is the old schoolmaster guy? Is that his name?
Yeah, he kills at the end of the
because I think he started using it because maybe he like misinterpreted something or was trying to like control it, and like Verity had been using it for like his whole life to try to recover because like it energizes you because you're tired after the skill. But Kettle's like, I've heard that's what they used.
Yeah.
They used to like erase and burn out the skill from people, and everyone's like, how do you know that?
How do you know that? Well, also, how are you so old? Like, you're like the oldest person I've ever seen.
There's like 3 accounts where like, I don't know if Shield's gonna keep up with us, and we don't want to spend time like going back for her. But next day she's always there, and they're like, huh, that old woman's got some spunk. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, she really wants to meet Prince Verity
and hang out with the White Prophet.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The next thing the next beat on the quest is they find a stone quarry with a bunch of like crazy sculptures. It's all the same black stone.
Yeah, and the first thing they see is a corpse, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Like, wait, is that Verity? Oh no!
They're like, "Yeah, is that Verity?" And they go over, and it's like, "No, it's Carrot, or it's one of the."
Oh yeah, one of the Galen
skill users.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, he died with the, like, this person was killed via the skill. Like, he's not. He's just like a dead. It's like he got Avada Kedavra. You know? He's just like dead.
And then don't they think like if Verity did this, like he wouldn't be. He's probably dead too because he wouldn't be strong enough to like kill someone and then also like survive and take care of himself.
Yeah, because that's like a thing. If you kill somebody with the skill, it's like the skill gets angry at you,
or it's like so draining.
Yeah,
because it's also the skill is like super empathy, basically.
Yeah, so, yeah. So killing somebody
you kill someone with super empathy like hurts you too, believe it or not. And they find there's like a crazy statue of a girl, like half dragon. She's like melded into the dragon, and she's like has like cool. This like scream on her face, and she's not moving, and it looks super lifelike. And then they hear like a chipping or like rustling or whatever. Like, what's that sound? They see a very old man in like rags who's like super thin and emaciated, like hacking away at a like stone with like the blunt end of a sword. And they're like, who's that crazy old man? And they're like, hey, old man. And he like doesn't hear him. And then like they get closer and they're like, hey, old man, have you seen a prince around here? And then he turns around and like, that's Verity.
Yep.
He's like, They found him. But, and this is where when I was reading, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And the more Verity
he's lost his marbles.
The more Verity talked, I was like, oh no. He's alive.
Yeah, no guy has ever been more out of it than this guy in the history of anything.
He seems like he's the craziest old man of all time, even though he should be like 45, but he looks like an old man. He like doesn't recognize them. And he keeps being like, oh, and Fitz is like, I'm Fitz, I'm here to save you. And he's like, huh. And then he just turns around and goes back to chopping, like carving his dragon. And his like arms. Oh no, we have to earlier, Fitz has like a skill dream, where he sees Verity go to this river that's like flowing silver, and he's calling it the skill river. It seems like it's like pure skill.
And it's the river that he stumbles upon it when he visits the city.
Or I think he thinks it's in the area. I don't think he knows where it is exactly.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure the river he goes to in like dreams is the one that the dragon goes into, is the same river. It's like, if I touch that, I'm gonna get fucked up on this too.
But also he senses like if he touched it, he'll like be lost to the skill because it's like so all encompassing. But earlier he had a dream that like Verity went in there and like dipped his hands in and pulled them out, and they're like totally coated in like silver. Like he has silver arms now, which is fucking badass.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then earlier, whenever this happened earlier, he like tells Kettle that like, oh, I had this crazy dream with Verity, and he dipped his hands in the river, and Verity's like, and then Kettle's like, oh my god, he did that. He like has this feeling of awe. And like Kettle, come on, can you just tell us? Can you just tell us how you know all this? Yeah, but Verity's lost his marbles and is incredibly concerning. And I think that's where we're going to cut off this first part of the second part. So the second part of the book. So Mac, I know we finished it, but we're going to pretend we're going to throw our minds back to where we were when we got to this part, and how we felt about it, and what we thought. So what are your thoughts?
Well, when I got to this part, my mind drifted to that conversation we had at the end of the previous episode, asking how we thought that this was going to end. And you know, they referred to the end of the second act a lot of times as when characters are at their lowest point. And this is not the end of the second act of this book. But boy, does this feel like actually, you know, it might actually be the end of the second act if you.
It sort of feels like it.
Sketched it. Morale is at an all-time low. Like a crazy guy is carving the feet. He's carved all of a dragon except for the feet.
Yeah.
But even because he's done that,
with basically his bare hands and a sword.
And Fitz is like, I don't see how that's going to help anybody. You
lost your mind. And
yeah,
he
so
like doesn't recognize Ketchkin. Ketchkin's like, we had a daughter,
really
we had a
sad.
son, and Verity's like, what? We did? Huh? He like has vacant. He's just like vacant, is what it feels like.
It's so sad, and then when it's revealed why he's like that, I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, good. I mean, still very sad.
It's as sad in a different way. Almost. Yeah. Yeah, I was in the same boat with you. I'm like, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose
in this quarry.
Oh man, but you know, Verity, got it. I love Prince Verity. He's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's the goat. Prince Verity, top 10 fantasy princess. Prince Regal, bottom 10 fantasy princess.
I don't know if I have like any thought. Like it's really like once the magic starts, it gets turned up to a billion. And it feels very like, oh, we're in a fantasy novel now. I was almost like off-put by it. I was like, what's this doing?
I know.
What's this doing in my realistic political drama fantasy that I've been reading for the past 1,500 pages?
No, it takes it up a notch. And it's about to get even crazier.
Yep. Well, do you have anything else to say about this second chunk? It really seems like we're leaving you all on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm excited to talk about the rest, though.
Yeah. I thought it was all great, like all the character stuff that happens, and, you know, not a chapter goes by where you don't feel bad for Fitz, but also are like, you know, you can stop being a shithead, but also I see why you're a shithead.
Yeah, you've been through a lot, pal.
Yeah.
It's okay. And you also are next to this creepy, scary road that's messing up.
Hey, but at least people keep saying you're hot. I don't know if this happens now or later, but even Ketchkin's like, you're hot. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
and Starling's like, yeah, you're really.
He's like,
hot.
I'm ugly. I have all these hot scars and broken, cool nose,
and I'm so thin and wolf-like, and like I have crazy abs, and everyone's like, yeah, you're hot, man.
Yeah, you're stud, man.
So he's got that going for him, even though if he doesn't fully believe it.
Yeah, only if we were all so lucky as to have the worst life ever, but be
At
just
least you're hot.
just a stud. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Well, folks, we'll leave you there this week. But next time on Hardcover Hooligans, we will be finishing up Assassin's Quest, talking about the book as a whole, the trilogy as a whole, and then talking about reading our 1-star reviews, classic.
Oh yeah,
and then
classic.
talking about what we have coming up next for the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to wrestling school anytime soon, and so we will.
I'm here to read, damn it.
So we will keep filling your ear holes with book-related shenanigans.
And you're gonna love what comes next. If you're a fan of the Hardcover Hooligans podcast, you're gonna love.
We're going back to
our
our roots. That tells you anything. Our cursed roots.
Yeah, we'll tell you in the next episode, I think. But for now, we'll keep it a secret.
Well, with that,
stay hard.
Stay hard, everyone.